gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special.
Well, good Tuesday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, it is second Monday. We've got some NFL news, some not so news with the NCAA and how we're going to move forward with the March Madness tournament this year. We'll get into some NBA news. Me and Burdick will recap Monday Night Raw last night and some miscellaneous news all over the sports world. And we've got another pair of tickets to the 2025 Bakersfield Brunch Fest coming up Saturday, October 11th at the Kern County Fairgrounds, where we'll feature bottomless brunch bites from over 20 local chefs and restaurants, a variety of beverage bars. All you've got to do is just wait. We'll let you know how you can win those tickets before you can even buy them, and you can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000.
That was a rude tease there, my friend.
Yeah.
They were waiting in
They're just waking up. I get it.
I get it. No, that's true. It's 7 o'clock. Not everybody's awake yet. Everybody has to get going here, get the kids ready and in the car and on the go here. But let's start with the world in the NFL. Quarterback news is all over the place in Cleveland. Now we got some news out of Tampa Bay as Teddy Bridgewater seems like he will be signing with the Buccaneers as soon as they get some stuff figured out. He just finished his first visit there, and looks like he's going to be joining the team down south. And I believe this will be the only. No, he has not played for Atlanta. So this will be the third team in the NFC South that Teddy Bridgewater will play for, as he had a short stint with the Saints and with the Carolina Panthers throughout the 2018 to 2020 season. Do you see this being a solid addition for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Can this be the backup quarterback for Baker Mayfield? Not that they really need it. Baker's one of those guys that you would assume would go the entire season, barring some serious injury, which knock on wood.
I like it. I mean, it's a good positive step for him. I mean, we talked about Bridgewater a week or so ago when he was getting suspended for just feeding his high school students and getting them Uber rides.
That was ridiculous.
It is. And, he took them to a state championship, and then they turned the head and suspend him. But I think it's a major, not a major, but a big step up.
I mean, you guys had him in Miami a couple years ago. He is not obviously the quarterback that we remember back in his days with the Vikings. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a bona fide starter in the NFL anymore, but he is probably one of the better backups, I would say, that you can go out and buy. And I'm surprised he's still coming back to football, because I think he has really fallen in love with this coaching thing. And eventually he will make that transition and probably be an NFL coach, much like a Kellen Moore did. Maybe this is the first step towards that. Instead of this being a player role, maybe he's thinking more this will be a leading into a coaching role for him at that level. But it's an interesting move to me. I didn't realize Tampa Bay would be looking for a backup quarterback. I know they had the kid from Florida, but they must be thinking that Teddy Bridgewater obviously is a much needed asset to them moving forward. And actually, when you really think about it, and actually when I'm thinking about it off the top of my head right now, he's probably one of the better guys on the sideline in terms of play calling. Because a lot of the time, the coach and the OC will go to the backup quarterback and ask him, what are your thoughts as well? They get everybody's opinion on it, although the final say is always the coordinator and the head coach. But in terms of leading a team and helping a team understand the defense, break it down, and really figure out a way to beat them, Teddy Bridgewater might not be the worst guy on the sideline for you if you're Tampa Bay. So I have to agree with you. It's a good move. And going forward, obviously, barring any injury to Baker Mayfield, don't want to see that whatsoever. He'll just be helping out on the sideline with all these play calls. So,
I mean, if you have a backup that's coach, even if it was high school, plus he's played how many years in the league? I mean, he's played at least 9 or 10 years.
11.
Yeah.
He's going on. I think this is going to be year 11 for him, if I'm not mistaken.
So if you can get a veteran type quarterback that's started and is a good backup, yeah, I mean, I like it.
Going from one team that needed a backup quarterback to another, supposedly, this Cleveland Browns have actually reached out to a fifth quarterback now to add to this QB room, and there's a good reason for it. Everybody's sitting here wondering, what do you mean? They haven't figured out what they have already. Well, 3 of the quarterbacks have found themselves injured at the moment. Kenny Pickett, Shedeur Sanders, and Dylan Gabriel all are banged up. So Cleveland feels they need a little bit more help, at least to get themselves through the preseason. So they called out to Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
You say, ugh, but people in Baltimore love the guy.
Yeah.
I, again, don't know if this is going to shake up the quarterback competition any, but Snoop coming in, I think at least puts him in the consideration to fight for the backup spot, because when you really look at his, body of work, he's at least been a starter as well. I'd argue that him and Kenny Pickett are kind of on the same level.
Yeah. I'm thinking the same thing. And plus he's healthy.
Yeah.
So,
or at least if he could stay healthy.
I mean, if Pickett and Shedeur and Gabriel can't, they're losing reps, this is a good opportunity for Snoop to just step in and maybe take one of their jobs. I don't think that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Do you think they keep 4 quarterbacks on this roster?
No, absolutely not. You're going to at least have, I would say 3 at the max. 4 is a stretch. I can definitely see them moving Dylan Gabriel to the practice squad. Whether he stays there or not is up in the air.
Well, that's the problem. If they tried to move him to the practice squad, then he has to clear waivers.
Right. And that's if anybody allows him to clear waivers. But when you really look at the way these practices have gone, I've found some statistics from ESPN about the first 9 practices for these quarterbacks. The best one on the board has been Shedeur Sanders statistically, with Joe Flacco probably being second. Kenny Pickett's all the way at the bottom. I still stand by my thoughts that if you were to keep 3 quarterbacks, you're cutting Kenny and Snoop. You're keeping Gabriel and Shedeur. Because much like the situation with, I guess, the Washington Commanders would be the best way to compare this when they had RG3 and Kirk Cousins. You're not exactly sure which one was going to be the guy, although RG3 came in as the first overall pick and you were hoping he was going to be the dynamic quarterback he was in college. The injury came in. You got Kirk Cousins, who was a bona fide starter, and it worked out for you. I think Cleveland can kind of map the same thing here. You have an old grizzled vet in Joe Flacco that's going to help these two understand the game. But you throw out Shedeur Sanders, the guy with the high potential ceiling, very athletic, very dynamic with his play, could potentially lead you to the playoffs and potentially further. And then you got Dylan Gabriel, the more secure, pocket passing, traditional quarterback that may actually be a solid starter if he got the right situation put in front of him. So is it really a bad is it a bad option for them to keep 3 quarterbacks and go that route is my point.
Well, I mean, that's what they've been battling for. I mean, this whole season is to see if they have a quarterback for the future.
Right.
And looking at the schedule, it looks like they're going to lean on a veteran in the beginning of the season, get through that rough patch, and probably test out these quarterbacks. But Schefter was on Unsportsmanlike this morning, and this is pretty much what he had to say and how many quarterbacks he thinks they'll keep.
I believe, talk to enough people around the league, that they're not going to – it's hard to imagine they're going to move on from one of the rookies. Now, one of them could be placed on IR. Like, who knows what's going to happen here, right? Like, Kenny Pickett's got hamstring tightness and Shedeur's got a sore shoulder. Who knows? Hopefully everybody's okay, but maybe somebody winds up on IR. But I think the way things are tracking right now, I think it's tracking for them to keep 4 quarterbacks on their 53-man roster when final cuts are made later this month.
I would be shocked. I have not seen an NFL team do that, although Schefter obviously is the insider of insiders, so he knows much more than I. So maybe
I think the smartest route would, maybe put one of them on the short-term IR,
right,
get them through the first 6 weeks.
Right.
And if they decide, okay, well, Flacco's not going to cut it, and maybe move him off, or, even bring in somebody like Shedeur to start, week 6, week 7, and see what he can have.
I feel like Shedeur will be the starter in Cleveland by I say even earlier than week 6. I think they go week 4. If all things kind of shape up that way and they're struggling offensively, it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Keeping 4 quarterbacks to me seems like an over, or at least embellishment, I guess. I don't even know if that's the right word. It's just it doesn't seem right. It just is not something that you see in the NFL very much.
No,
And
and we really don't see them
I
drafting two quarterbacks in a draft either. But
right.
looking at the schedule, I mean, they kick off the season with the Bengals, Ravens, Packers, Lions, Vikings. I mean, that's probably
That's a
where you
rough
don't
start.
want to start a quarterback, a young quarterback.
No,
You don't want to throw him in there. So
no.
that's where I was saying you maybe they go with Flacco
Although
and then
again,
the Steelers. So
the
I mean,
Bengals, though, still to we have yet to see if they're going to actually come out hot this year. They always start slow, so maybe that is the perfect spot to really start a young quarterback to gain some confidence in
and then
himself.
get him killed in Baltimore.
I mean, you're going to have to deal with Baltimore twice a year anyway. You're going to
Yeah.
have to get over that. You know what I mean? Like that's one of those situations that this would probably be the best trial by fire season if you ever needed one. But that's why I mean, you could tell I'm trying to wrap my head around this entire idea of a 4 quarterback roster. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think the Pickett injury probably killed his chances.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably right. They probably go with 3.
But
And I
see,
could see Flacco and the rookies.
Kenny Pickett, though, although losing out probably in the spot here in Cleveland, will get a spot somewhere else. Someone will pick him up. There's going to be a spot open for him eventually. I feel like, especially if like a team like Atlanta moves off from Kirk Cousins and finally gets that contract taken care of, they're going to be looking for a backup quarterback. I think Kenny Pickett would work really well down there underneath Michael Penix for a couple of years. Maybe help him out if Penix ever goes down with an injury. I wouldn't be against it. But again, it's one of those situations where I have to agree with you. The injury is unfortunate timing, but it kind of killed his chances at being on this roster long term. That's my
With
only
a team
issue.
rebuilding, it'll probably be the smarter route to go with.
But see, and then
with Flacco and the 2 rookies. But we are
we're
talking
sitting
about
here
the Browns.
talking about it, and we're not even bringing up the guy they just signed
Yeah,
today, and Snoop Huntley. So
Camp
it's
body.
like, is he a camp body though? Because
I
if he
think.
comes out and balls out, I mean, he would arguably be in the same consideration as Joe Flacco. I mean, if you're going to sit there and talk about keeping 4 quarterbacks, why would Tyron Huntley not be on the list, but Kenny Pickett would? You know what I mean? And you still have to take care of the Deshaun Watson situation as well. So realistically, you're going in with the 4 quarterback room.
And
No
I think
matter
that's
what.
why he brings up the IR.
Yeah.
I think that it'll be the smartest way if they're trying to keep the 2 rookies. Maybe they put one of them on the short-term IR and let the veterans work it out in the first 4 or 6 games.
It's the only thing I can think of. But I mean, again, wrapping my head around a 4 quarterback room is just weird to me. Although not unprecedented, I realize. I just feel like you take the chance in putting Dylan Gabriel in the practice squad. I really do. Like, although granted, yes, he has to clear waivers, and that means teams that potentially would pick him up. But you're already sitting in a situation where it really wouldn't hurt you either way. And Cleveland needs help in more areas than just quarterback. So let's not sit here and
That's the
pretend
big
like
question is that's why they
room.
drafted 2 quarterbacks. They're trying to build a quarterback for the future.
Right.
And that'll be a risk if they try to because I see Gabriel getting picked up. I don't see him clearing waivers just because he hasn't looked bad in camp, and there is a ton of quarterback needy teams. So
it's entirely possible. But again, I'm not 100% sure where this is going to go with all 3 of them being banged up. It kind of puts a stall on all of these talks. Now the quarterback room is Joe Flacco and Snoop Huntley.
who would have known?
And at least for the first
And
couple
Watson.
weeks and Watson. At least for the first couple weeks of the preseason. I mean, or first week of preseason, I should say, because coming into the game 1, that's what you're going to have to work with. Hopefully we get Shador and Dylan back here pretty soon, and we can move on to better pastures out in Cleveland. But let's take a break real quick, pay some bills. On the other side, we got to talk about the Vikings quarterback situation. Sounds like J.J. McCarthy will be playing all of preseason, including the opener on Saturday. We'll give you the details on that on the other side of the break. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. We gave you an update on the Cleveland quarterback room situation, and it sounds like the Vikings will be making a little bit of a tweak to theirs as well, as JJ McCarthy will be starting the season or preseason opener on Saturday. No telling if he's going to play the entire preseason or if they're just going to test him out, but this does bring him full circle, as he injured himself in the first preseason game last year and had to sit out the entire season.
It's 1 year to the date.
And at this point, it is scary to me because you either go one of two routes here. You do it like Sam Darnold last year, where you play him literally the first drive of preseason,
Get him out of there.
and then get him out of there for the next 2-3 games. Or you play him for the first couple drives of each preseason game to test out how this is going to work. Because in my personal opinion, with the injury scare, he was the first round quarterback taken to not play his rookie season because of an injury. Do you chance that happening twice? That's really what everybody's going to be thinking. Kevin O'Connell knows more about football than I will forget. And personally, I think he already has a plan of how all this is going to go. I highly doubt we're going to see him more than a drive. However, something in the back of my mind, Sparky, says, play him for the first quarter.
Yeah.
See how he looks. See how he plays. Let him gain that confidence back, because those types of injuries where you're out a whole year not only make you rusty, but kill your confidence. So although you've been doing snaps with the first team all preseason during these training camps, that doesn't mean anything until you reach an NFL level competition. So I say at least play him the first quarter of each game in the preseason. See how it goes.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. I listened to a O'Connell interview over the weekend, and he was talking about, how in touch with JJ they were all season.
Mm-hmm.
He would take an hour out each week, even during, a busy schedule during an NFL season. He would sit down with JJ once a week for an hour and go through tape and show him things. And he's just a quarterback friendly type coach. And he really believes that this is going to be a big year for JJ, hopefully, barring any injuries. But I would do the same thing. He hasn't been on the field with other NFL players not on his team in over a year.
Right.
And I think it'd be smart, get him in probably the first 2 preseason games and let him,
sit the third.
I know they've got Sam Howell and Brett Rippon behind him. So, I mean, I would let the kid get some team action. I know there's other quarterback veterans that are going to play usually in the first preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's going to play the first quarter, and it's probably a good thing just to get him out there, let the nervousness get out before, but I wouldn't play him more than a quarter.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, when I say a quarter, I don't mean a full quarter either. I'm not saying a full 15 minutes of football. 2-3 drives max. Like, just let him go out there, sling it a couple times, gain some confidence, connect with not JJ, because he's not going to be in the game at all, or probably Addison either, but connect with some of these tight ends and wide receivers and just get the rhythm down, get the timing down with some of these guys. And honestly, it might just gain the confidence back and make him believe, okay, that entire thing last year was a fluke and we move on. And that's the best case scenario, right? Worst case scenario, well, we saw it last season.
Yes.
So God forbid that happens. And we hope JJ has an entire healthy season going into this, what would be his rookie season. I don't know if he's going to be eligible for the rookie of the year. I would assume he is, because I mean, he missed his entire first year. But this is unprecedented area for the NFL. That doesn't normally happen. But let's move over to the probably most prolific rookie of the entire class in Travis Hunter. And Jacksonville has announced that he will be playing wide receiver. He'll be the number 1 wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars while playing as a backup for cornerbacks. I'm shocked by this. I'm not going to lie, because of his just, if you watch Travis Hunter play in college, you could always tell that he was more of a naturally gifted corner. And he had that ability to just shift and keep up with guys really well. but he could also obviously get the ball and run everybody around and just get open and make everyone look silly. So you obviously want to play him at wide receiver. I grabbed some audio from head coach Cohen real quick. I want to hear from the first one here. First and foremost, everybody knows how exciting Travis can be and prolific with the ball. I just stated it, but let's hear it from the horse's mouth himself about how he has impacted the Jacksonville Jaguars so far.
Everybody's been on board with this from the beginning, right? Fast forward to now, where he has taken massive strides, specifically at the receiver position, of truly playing it, right? The how to run each route, how to attack leverage. His ball skills and body control are extremely natural. Extremely natural. You can't really coach that. What he's been able to learn in getting aligned, assignments, fundamentals, techniques, and then when you go into a scrimmage and he gets one-on-one on a choice route and he's got a linebacker on him and he can make you miss in space and he can go do something with it. And just the energy, Rich, right? The energy that he provides, the type of confidence that he does exude, that it comes from a cool place where it's almost youth-like, but he's also extremely mature for somebody his age to have gone through what he's gone through to get to where he's gone, the path that he's taken to get here. It's pretty cool to see, right? And these guys, they challenge him, right? They challenge him every day, both on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. They're chirping at him, and it's friendly, great competition. It's healthy, but yeah, Travis is definitely somebody that's been really fun to work with.
At this point, I've said it a couple times, Jacksonville has never really gone out and gotten Trevor Lawrence, anybody of significance to really help him offensively. This is the first time they've done it. And it seems to me, especially with Cohen coming in, who is an offensive coach, that's the plan. I have other audio in there that we might get to later in the show, but we won't need it right now. A lot of it's about how Travis's development coming into the league. They figured that offensively is what he more needed because just there's more ball to it. There's more lingo he had to learn compared to defensively. And as I said earlier, he's a more naturally gifted corner. So you throw him into corner packages and he can easily just kind of do his job and not even really need guidance in that area. So offensively is more where they have focused in the preseason of developing his game. I'm just shocked that all of this is leading to him being a wide receiver first, cornerback second. I thought for sure we were going to have it the other way around.
Me too.
I really, really did. But I assume that means that Jacksonville truly believes that this is going to be the first guy to come in and be that guy for Trevor Lawrence outside of, I apologize. I know that they drafted the wide receiver last year as well. Not discounting him, but let's be honest, he was a late round draft pick that kind of just shined. He's not exactly somebody they drafted in the first round fully knowing that he was going to be a prolific player for them. This is the first time Jacksonville's going to have that guy. Do you think that alters your thoughts at all about how the season's going to go for this team in the AFC South? It kind of makes me feel a little different. Not enough to push them into contention to win the division yet. But if Travis is as good as everybody is saying he is and is coming in as wide receiver one already, could be pretty interesting to watch this year.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out. I think the Jaguars are still a couple holes away from being a playoff contender, but I mean, I'm excited to see what this kid can do.
I am too. And I mean,
I really thought it was going to be defensive minded and then kind of throw him into some special packages. But how the NFL is, we could still do it. We could still do it. And I mean, I've seen some of the packages during training camp that they've lined him up at running back. They've lined him up at slot receiver. They've lined him up at safety. They've lined him up at cornerback. And the kid can play every position. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll see. But I think you hit it up right there with an offensive-minded coach. I think he sees how special this kid could be with this offense, and he's going to try to utilize him wherever and whenever he can.
And, it popping into my head right now, because this interview was with Rich Eisen. You can go back and watch that. I believe it was yesterday. But is this going to go down as one of the biggest assessments, I guess, of Liam Cohen? Because coming into this season, you already left Tampa Bay kind of sour, because remember, this is the guy who claimed he was going to stay with Tampa Bay, had everything pretty much signed and dotted, and then ran to Jacksonville for the head coaching job, which again, no one can really blame you at the same time. Let's be honest, it's a head coaching job compared to an offensive coordinator gig. So I get it. But coming into this now with a player that is so coveted and somebody that is so good on both sides of the ball, is this going to be a accurate assessment and really just judgment of how good of a coach he is, of how much you can get out of this kid, especially offensively? If you're going to have him be a wide receiver first, that makes me believe that you can get the most out of him on offense than you can on defense.
That'd be interesting.
That's why I'm like, I'm now kind of curious how this is all going to turn on him as well, especially if this doesn't work out.
Yeah, if it's the right decision.
Yeah. If this ends up not being the right decision, I don't know exactly how well that's going to look on Liam Cohen's side. Not that it's going to lose him his job. Let's not get crazy, but I'm more saying people might be thinking, are you making the right decisions? You know what I mean? Overall in your career. Because I'm not going to lie, going down the line, especially if Jacksonville isn't successful, everybody's going to be looking at Liam Cohen and saying, yeah, dude,
You're not utilizing your guy right.
not even that, but are you the right decision? You know what I mean? We all said it when he got hired. Everybody's been questioning it ever since.
I was surprised that they moved away from their coach in the first place. So I know they had a rough season, but you had a veteran type coach, but everyone's offense.
Yeah.
So hopefully this will turn around Jacksonville, at least on the offensive side. But I'm still questionable with Lawrence. So that's a whole different conversation. I do like the kid Hunter. I just don't know how much offense he'll actually play.
I get if it again from what I'm reading
it's
here,
training
he's
camp.
gonna be the number one guy.
It's training camp. They haven't hit the
So-
field yet. So there's a lot of things that will change, and you'll see how much he actually is in the offense. And you mentioned they have a young receiving core. So we'll see.
And they are absolutely sold on playing him on both sides too. So you will see him at corner and you will see him at wide receiver. Shoot, you'll probably see him return kicks. But that's kind of what I'm worried about. Like I said, you burn the candle at both ends a lot of the time, especially at the professional level. We usually see that burnout far too quickly. And I'd hate to see this go that route. Travis could have a really, really special career. He really could, especially being one of the first guys to be able to successfully go both ways in the NFL. That would be really cool to see. I mean, we see it in baseball right now with Shohei Ohtani. Imagine that on the football level. It could be incredible. So let's take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll give you a little more football news and we'll get into some basketball and other stuff as well. There's plenty to talk about in the world of sports. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. I'm Rick. That is Marky.
We have the Buffalo Bills starting off Hard Knocks tonight, and in that spirit, if you'd like to go to Village Fest
Yes.
Saturday,
No.
October
Brunch Fest.
11th.
Brunch
Yes,
Fest. Not Village Fest.
Village
Not
Fest,
Village
Brunch
Fest.
Fest, whatever. Brunch Fest coming up October 11th. All I got to do is call or text in. What was your favorite Hard Knock? Obviously, mine was the Dolphins.
And you can't play that to your advantage. You know Sparky's going to read this text message.
Yes.
You cannot use that to win tickets.
If you'd like to win them before you could buy them, just call or text in anytime during the show at 661-842-2000.
Unpopular opinion, I hate when my team loses because I know my team's going to be awful in the next year.
Hopefully it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you know, there's a Madden curse. I believe there's a Hard Knocks curse too. I genuinely do. Ever since that Ravens year where they won the Super Bowl,
Hopefully.
It's never been the same.
I'd love to see the Bills stink it up again.
I know you do. And again, I genuinely believe there's a good chance in that just because there's a lot of distractions this year for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm not sure if the additions they've made on the defensive side are going to be any good because, I mean, Joey Bosa, as good as he's been in his youth, has been injury prone his entire career. There's a reason why the Los Angeles Chargers moved on from him. So, well, you know, hopefully he can change that. But in a cold weather city, I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be any different.
Bengals coach just came out and said Burrow will start preseason. They want to get away from that slow start, and they said Burrow and other starters will play a couple series, is what he said.
Do you think that that's going to kickstart them though and stop this slow start that they always get to? I'm not sure if that's the answer.
It might bite him in the ass. So.
It might, but again, back in the day, I can say that, but like back a couple years ago, just a couple decades ago, that was the case. The starters didn't play game 1, played a handful of game 2, handful of game 3. And then for those of you who remember this, there were 4 games back in this time in preseason. And that's when you had the full starters at least play the first quarter. And then you would move on to the regular season. So maybe he's right. Maybe that is the route to go and just go back to the olden days and make the starters play. Maybe that is the route for Cincinnati. I feel like Cincinnati's bigger problem was obviously signing the players that you needed to sign, but
they play the Eagles on Thursday. So we'll get to see Burrow at least for a couple drives.
It'll be nice, but again, it's going to be like JJ McCarthy. I would be shocked and surprised if he plays anything past 2 drives.
Just run the ball a couple times and get off the field.
Maybe throw 1-9 to Jamar if Jamar's even playing.
All right, I feel good. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm done. I just, again, I'm not sure if that's going to be the answer to your regular season woes, but maybe he makes him play the preseason open or the final preseason game as well and keeps him spry and ready to go. I have no idea, but they obviously have some sort of plan out in Bengals City to figure this out. I'm skeptical. I really am. And now I'm worried because we're talking about JJ McCarthy getting hurt. If Joe Burrow goes out in preseason game 1 and gets hurt, oh my God.
The Eagles defense is tough, man.
Sign over your job right now. You would be, oh my Lord, that would look so bad, but it is what it is. I am curious to watch now on Thursday just to see how well this goes. Let's talk about some other news in the NFL before we shift over to basketball. Chargers Denzel Perriman has been released from custody and won't be charged.
This guy, man,
for this felony gun charges. For those of you who don't know, we didn't get a chance to talk about it the other day, but he was arrested late last week for a traffic stop that turned into a car search that turned into
5 firearms,
2 assault rifles, 3 handguns in his car.
I think he was listening. He was watching Twisted Metal too much.
From what I am gathering here, though, I mean, he was put in jail without bail and was in there since Friday night, released yesterday. They will not be pressing charges, which tells me probably had a CC or something. Like these are most likely legally owned guns. Harbaugh went down to the prison the jail. I shouldn't say prison, the jail on Sunday to connect with Denzel, figure out what's going on. He said he was in good spirits, which tells me he probably knew on Friday, well, I'm stuck in jail until Monday, but this is all going to get blown over and go away. He's never really been in trouble before in the past. So this did shock me that he had gotten into trouble for something like this, especially having 5 guns in the car. But the only thing I could think of is that he was a legal gun owner, as or I shouldn't say most of us, as all of us should be. And once they figured that out and they figured out, okay, he had rights to own these and obviously transport them to wherever the heck he was going, they said, all right, no charges. We're going to let you go. Sorry for holding you up, sir.
I would hope that he was just buying them and transporting them home.
That's what I'm hoping too.
I just wouldn't think why would you need to drive around with that type of ammo.
Apparently the issue that got it pulled over were citations with the car itself. Not sure what it was. Maybe he had a tail light out or something of that nature, but it led to a search of the car, which led to the guns being found. It's just dominoes being knocked over that made it look so much worse than it probably was. I'm happy to see Denzel back. He'll probably be back to the practice field as soon as humanly possible as well, and be back to being the starting linebacker the Chargers need to actually get this defense going. So I'm just happy to see that we didn't have anything worse happen, because we've heard so many just negative stories this
it could have got worse
offseason.
real quick if he
Absolutely
was ugly with the cops or took off or something, and it could have been way crazier.
And just again, I'm just happy no charges will be filed, because he was facing felony charges. He was facing felony gun charges, which is absolutely wild to hear that they will not be charging him in any way, shape, or form in LA. So let's move over to basketball, though, real quick. Or do you want to take a break before we get to this?
Let's do it.
All right, let's take a break. We'll get to a break. We're going to pay some bills. On the other side, the NCAA has made their decision in terms of the basketball tournament and the bracket expansion. We'll let you know what they said on the other side. This is the early bird special right here on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Final segment of the first hour. A little bit of traffic for you as well. Sorry, I'm stuttering all over the place today. I don't know what's wrong with me. I need a coffee or something. I did not sleep well. Don't drive down California Avenue if you're in Bakersfield. Period. Just no.
I
Don't
got
do it.
stuck on that yesterday.
Don't do it. I'm not saying this as a grumpy old man. I'm just telling you, they're redoing
Smart.
the whole street. Don't do it. It's down to one lane. I saw nothing but a conga line of cars yesterday that were literally moving slower than a snail. Do not get if you. This is why I laugh at Bakersfield. We want to be LA so bad. We want to be LA so bad. So bad that we'll even adopt the traffic. That's how bad we want to be LA. Don't drive on California Avenue. That's my one traffic warning of the day.
Unless you know the back routes.
Yeah, unless you know the back streets and you know where you're going, then do what you will.
Luckily, I knew the back route to Mohawk yesterday, or I would have been
Nice.
late to work.
Yeah, living right here, luckily I've learned a handful of the streets and I've been able to figure it out. But I just, for everybody else who needs to get to the freeway or whatever, get on Ming, get on Rosedale. I don't care, but stay off of California. Trust me, it's for your own sake.
And like we said earlier, if you'd like to win some Brunch Fest tickets, just text in 842-2000, or you can call. Either way, let us know what your favorite team on Hard Knocks was. We've got one. It could be your tickets. Just call or text in anytime at 842-2000. But
NCAA have made a decision. The basketball tournament stays as it is.
Good.
68 teams, at least until 2027. Now, for those of you who have not been following along with this, committees have been meeting to talk about expanding the men's and women's basketball March Madness tournaments to potentially 72 or even 76 teams, which, for those of you who are confused on how much, there are 68 right now. That would add one team per bracket. And I mean per brackets in the South, East, West, and Midwest brackets, or 2 teams per bracket. So instead of having 16 teams within each bracket itself, you would have 17 or 18. I would assume if you go into 17, this would lead towards first round buys for the first overall seeds going in. Might be a good thing, might be actually a stunter. I'm a genuine believer that if you have a bye at all in the playoffs, it's actually bad for you.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of having a bye. Usually when the teams who have a bye come out flat or just don't have the same energy that they had leaving the season. So maybe a bad thing, maybe a good thing. I see a good and bad to this. Obviously, expanding the tournament again for the first time since 2011. It's interesting. It brings more money and revenue in, obviously, and it makes more opportunity for other companies to come in and join as well. Totally get that.
It's coming.
It's money.
Yeah.
It's NCAA. That's what they're here for, baby.
Turn away from it.
It's a business.
I think it was just late to the table, and they'll give them another year to figure it out.
Right.
But I would probably expect it in 2027.
But see, my only issue with this I kind of on this side, I don't want them to expand it because it's kind of like widening the gap of success. Why are we still moving goalposts? This is supposed to be an illustrious tournament. Like 15 to 20% of players have been able to play in this tournament for a reason. And I get that a lot of these teams are joining conferences together and it's making it harder for these teams to be successful because obviously they're beating up on each other so much during the season. They have bad records, allowing worse teams to get in because of their better records and then playing smaller schools. But at the same time, that's kind of the measurement, right? It's like if you're going to be joining these conferences, you have to be competitive in them. That's why you expand. That's why you move forward in sports. So I kind of get it on both sides here. I am more on the side of, I think we should keep it on 68. I think 68 is a perfect amount. And if you're part of that 68, good for you. If you didn't make it, sorry, man. Better luck next year. It's just one of those situations that I feel like once you keep moving the goalpost, like what's going to stop us from going 80 plus, 90 plus teams? And then when are we ever going to stop? The March Madness tournament at that point might as well just be every college put together on the one massive stage. and everybody gets a chance. And you're talking about participation trophies for millennials. I mean, that would be the equivalent, wouldn't not?
They're going to continue to tinker with every sport, with everything.
I know.
They did it with football and NCAA football.
See,
and they're going to do. They're not going to step away from money, and it'll still have the conversation at the end when the brackets are started. This team got, they didn't get the opportunity they deserved, and it's always going to be in the discussion.
Football to me needs to expand. I think we need more teams in that tournament. That's a little bit different. 68 teams in basketball, though, that I think is a perfect amount. I genuinely do. I think 68 is just the right amount. You get a handful of rounds. I know some coaches are like, "Oh, just put one more round in. Who cares?" It's like, no, that just sounds like, again, if you're going to do that, you might as well expand it to 100. What would that be? 138 or 140, whatever the number is.
And don't bring it up. They might do it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And then we have every team in there and everybody gets a chance at the title. It's like that. I love college basketball. Don't get me wrong.
Well, that's the only reason I wasn't too worried about it. If it's 4 or 6 more teams, okay. But if they start counting, 20, 25, 40, I mean, they're going to follow the money whichever way. And I'm glad it's not a big jump. If it's getting a first round bye or just adding, some preliminary type games.
I'm cool with expanding it to 72. 72 is nice. You get the first overall guys bye in that first round, and then you move on. But 72 teams, 6 rounds, I think that's plenty. We don't need to go higher than that. But you're right. Like, really, we sit here talking about it. We could be up at 144 before we know it. And I just feel like if you keep moving the goalpost, then you're going to get less and less good competition in these tournaments. And you're going to see more and more of these teams that probably shouldn't be in there. I'm just throwing it out there, because for as many teams as we sit there complaining say should be in there, there are just as many that get nods that should not, and it is very, very quickly shown.
Yep.
So that's why I'm kind of on the side of maybe we shouldn't expand it.
March Madness is going to turn into April or even earlier, so we'll see. I know in baseball, Aaron Judge is expected to rejoin the Yankees tonight. He is listed as the designated hitter, and I saw your Phillies. Your boy got his
40th home run yesterday off of a grand slam against the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, again, I keep getting text messages from people saying Kyle Schwarber should be the MVP. He suffers from not being Shohei-itis. Like, let's be honest. Just because Shohei Ohtani is in the NL, it's going to Shohei Ohtani. And it's not because anybody else isn't deserving of it. It's because this guy's literally doing both jobs. So, unfortunately, I agree. I think that Kyle deserves at least some nods at the MVP, if not a Silver Slugger award. It's Shohei. And unfortunately, he plays the exact same position Shohei plays, designated hitter. So you're literally chasing a Greek god at this point. But he's doing so in convincing fashion. Philadelphia continues to thrive and try to compete for a championship with this team before they have to start paying some guys. Kyle Schwarber is on a contract year too, and I've said it for months. Pay the man. If that man is in any other uniform outside of a Philadelphia uniform next year, we riot. I just point that out right now.
Well, we'll take our final break of the hour. We'll recap Monday Night Raw last night.
It was an interesting one. You got an an explanation of the injury situation from Seth Rollins, which we also got on the Rich Eisen show yesterday. We'll get to that as well.
And someone lost another pair of shoes.
Yes, they did. I think this Shula Fala thing is going to be hilarious. You realize he's going to have a whole set by the time we're done of Jordans. God, Bronson Reed is fantastic. We got to take a break real quick. On the other side, we'll get to the rest of what we thought of Raw last night. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And welcome back. Early Bird Special Hour 2. Usually we would have our guy 24KG here on Tuesdays, but we had him yesterday thanks to the SummerSlam PLE over the weekend. But we have to talk about Raw last night. Because, I mean, that's the beauty of wrestling is it's not exactly what happened. It's where we're going next. We got a lot explained yesterday, including, well, we were all right. Technically, the injury was an injury, but it was greatly over-exaggerated, in which led to this entire ruse he actually went on. I mean, Seth Rollins has silently become one of the best guys at just blending this whole kayfabe line. I was listening to a handful of interviews yesterday of just Becky Lynch and everybody else talking about this and how just upset they were that they had to lie to family and friends for weeks about this injury that he was faking essentially the whole time.
And now how their daughter blew it.
Yep. And how the daughter went and told her teacher right away. Thank God for, teachers that don't have loose lips. Because God, if I had that information, oh my Lord, would I be running around to Wrestling Insider and saying, I got a scoop for you. But then again, who would believe her? Who would believe her? Let's be honest. Like, who will walk around saying, I teach Seth Rollins' kid and I know exactly where this is going. It's like, who would believe you? So, I mean, the entire storyline came to a head yesterday at the beginning of Raw. We got the explanation from Seth and everybody else that this injury was in fact fake. And we will be moving forward with this Seth Rollins as champion storyline. It's going to be interesting where this goes for you wrestling fans. We got a little bit of a taste yesterday. I still stand by my prediction that we are getting Team Seth versus Team Punk at Survivor Series in San Diego.
I don't know. It's starting to sound like Team Seth versus Team Rollins. Or not, Team Roman.
Nah, I think it's going to be Punk.
Well, they've been going at it since last night.
No, I realize that, but that's what I'm saying. I mean, you could say pseudo team whatever. It's going to be Punk and Roman on this team. It's going to be Seth's group with whomever they decide to have come and help them. And I would assume this is going to go Punk. I think LA Knight is going to get in on this one. Roman Reigns now, who made his return yesterday to Raw, and you're right, is probably going to be right smack dab in the middle of this championship run between Punk and Seth at some point. And then I would assume Roman goes and pulls either the Usos or Jacob Fatu or somebody of the bloodline to come and help them as well. But this is going to essentially boil over into San Diego's pay-per-view here in November, is what I would assume is going to happen. Unfortunately, usually in war games and stuff like that, titles aren't on the line. It's more about brutality and just being fun and doing some crazy-ish. So that's why I'm assuming you're going to get a lot of these guys. But at the same time, as we said yesterday with our guy KG, a lot of these guys are leaving to go shoot that Street Fighter movie here pretty soon. So how much are we actually going to see of them? You know what I mean? So maybe that's why they were teeing it up yesterday with the return of Roman and him taking an obscene amount of body slams yesterday.
Tsunamis and
off of the top rope. This is a 300-pound man. I don't think people are really considering that. Imagine a 300-pound man jumping on top of your sternum multiple times. And you're just laying flat. There's nothing protecting you, maybe outside of your arms, trying to cushion some of the blow. But that was a brutal attack yesterday. And I'm excited just to see where all of this heads next. And you were right as well, Sparky, with your sources that we got the Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella thing boiling up here going forward as well.
Gosh, so much better.
I have to agree. I think this is going to be that legendary rivalry that we've all kind of been wanting around this title. I mean, when you talk about an Intercontinental Championship, especially the Intercontinental Championship on the men's side, there's a lot of just illustrious names that go with that championship and the workhorse mentality that you need to have to hold it. This could be one of those just legendary versus legendary wrestler matches that we've been waiting for this belt, to finally put it in just the limelight and put it into a spot where you could actually put it into PLE. Because I think that's the problem with a lot of these mid-card female titles, is that you don't have them in the right area. Like, you don't have them in the right faces. You have the right people with them, don't get me wrong, but you're not building up storylines enough to have these legendary matches with them.
I was just happy to see Becky not with Lyra.
Yeah.
Personally, I was just like, all right, it's going in a positive direction, and they're both great on the mic. So I enjoyed that, but we'll see. Because I mean, that's the real question. Going back to what you were talking about with the Street Fighter movie, I mean, how much are we going to see of Roman? How much are we going to see of Cody? And now with Cody having a title, I mean, you would think that we're going to see at least some type of appearances at SmackDown.
I kind of, I've been wondering this with Cody because obviously him winning the championship means that he's going to want to hold on to it for a while. But who's to say Brock Lesnar doesn't come in and just win it off of him on Friday? Well, think about it, dude. You got to find a way to write him off TV. You got to figure out a way to write Roman off TV. It makes sense to write Roman off after a brutal match with one of these guys in Seth's group, and then he can just go off and shoot his scenes in this movie because he's playing Akuma, which if you're a Street Fighter fan, Akuma is not in the game very much at all until the end. So you really don't need Roman very much. So he probably has a handful of scenes he has to cut. They could let him go and he can come back and do whatever he needs to do in November. Cody's the real question because he's the one playing a major character in all of this, and in this movie, I should say. So he's going to be gone for a considerable amount of time, which is going to lead to some interesting thoughts, right? But I'm not 100% sure exactly where that's going to lead. I'm assuming that this is all going to come to a head here in the next couple of months with the next PLE and Clash of Paris. First time it's going to be in Paris. I'm not sure exactly who's going to get that shot at that title, though. I mean, watching yesterday, you would assume it's probably going to be going down to Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and LA Knight. But maybe we get a four-way. Maybe we get some, because, I mean, LA Knight's had a handful of matches with Roman in the past that have been fantastic bangers. Obviously, CM Punk and Seth Rollins have always put on bangers no matter what. So this could be one of the better championship matches we've seen in a European setting. It really could.
And speaking of bangers, we got another Sheamus Rusev match, which they're great matches, but it is getting old quick.
Tell me you don't know what to do with them without telling me you don't know what to do with them. Gosh. Like, I get it. Don't get me wrong. But it is one of those situations where we have to find a storyline for Sheamus and Rusev outside of each other. You know what I mean? Like, although this is going to most likely boil over to one of the best, or maybe just a no holds barred match in Paris, because both of these guys have great European standing, and you want to talk about, they're probably going to get the biggest pop of the weekend. They really would. But I kind of agree with you. It's reaching Becky and Lyra level. I'm like, okay,
dragging.
Can I get Rusev against anybody else? And I swear, if this ends with the Alpha Academy coming out and helping Sheamus beat Rusev, I'm just
like, wow, really?
This is lazy writing now.
Yeah.
Like, for as many amazing stories as we get from you guys, and as KG pointed out yesterday, probably going to be Emmy nominated situations at one point. We get a handful of stinkers where I'm just like, what are you who's in charge of this? Like,
and that was a third of the Raw last night, was that match.
It really was. And don't get me wrong, it was a great match, but again, it ends in a count out and we get no real like substance from it. All I'm really seeing is
just stirring the pot.
Yeah, you're stirring the pot, and now Sami Zayn might be getting in on this. I'm just like, again, lazy writing bugs me, but I'm assuming there's something underneath all of this that we have not seen just yet. You know what I mean? And beyond that,
some secret pop or something that's going to change it up.
Like, not, I wouldn't even say that. I would say more it's building a story that we just aren't noticing, maybe for Royal Rumble later on down the line. Because again, right now with Sammy moving on from this Karrion Kross situation, it seems like they need to put him into something to keep him relevant for a little bit and still a valid contender to win the Royal Rumble. Because I genuinely believe that's what we're going to get in Saudi Arabia this year.
What?
Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble.
Oh God.
We are going to be getting Sami Zayn winning because it's the fan favorite. You're going to be in Saudi. It just makes sense. Everything lines up that way. And we're really pushing this whole Sami Zayn has to be a world champion at some point. I get it that the fan base wants that. I'm kind of with you though, Sparky. It's like I'm not a big fan of it. I'm really, really not. Not that I'm not a fan of him. Love him as a wrestler, but I feel like there are better stories right now that we need to be hashing out outside of the prolific underdog. Even though he's never an underdog, they really need to stop calling him that. He's never been the underdog. He's like, there's never been a match where I've looked at this and said, "Ooh, Sammy's in trouble." Like, never once. You've protected him that much, where he literally has anime and comic book level just protection. It's ridiculous. Plot armor is absolutely dumb in the WWE, and it's all about Sami Zayn. But again, going forward, I think we're going to be getting some great stuff here on Friday. You're going to get the John Cena explanation of what's coming next from him. I assume that's going to come with a Brock Lesnar face-to-face at some point. Whether Brock talks or not is still up in the air. Personally, I like him better when he doesn't. Brock Lesnar to me is the guy who just comes out, handles business, and walks away. He doesn't need to say a dang word to you. And that's kind of where I feel like they should keep this. But I'm happy to hear that my theory of him being John Cena's final retirement match are valid. They're actually considering that being the last match in December is him and Brock Lesnar.
So you don't think they fight earlier?
I don't think so.
They're just going to drag this out until December?
So. I think that they're going to tee it up right now because that's the one thing that everybody's kind of wondering right now is what's going to be his last match. We all know his last PLEs. He has 12 appearances left. I believe 8 of those being on SmackDowns and Raws between now and the end of the year. And I believe he only has actually 3 appearances in the holiday section. I think he's only there once in October, once in November, and once in December, which is the final match. So you have to do a lot of building for that last 3 months of the year without him being there. You know what I mean?
There's going to be some change-ups. I definitely see that with Cody being out for a while, Roman maybe taking a short break, Gunther taking a break. There's going to be a lot of mix-ups. I think that's perfect time why they brought in Brock at the right time. It's just going to be different, man.
It's
Where
funny.
are they going to mix in, Damian Priest somewhere or, McIntyre, Orton? I mean, there's some big names that are kind of getting out of their stories right now that, I wonder where they're going to fit in this whole situation.
I would love to see someone like Drew McIntyre break away and go after Cody.
Me too.
Somebody that is a just prolific bad guy that hasn't really been in that seat in a while and desperately needs it. I shouldn't say desperately needs it, but desperately deserves it. Somebody who's really carried his own stories. Because let's be honest, that entire match with Jelly Roll and Logan Paul was good, but I think a vast majority of why it was good is because it was carried by guys like Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, who just, although are really just there for the pop factor. That's why I genuinely believe we're going to get Jelly Roll and Logan Paul, because they did the brunt of the work on each other, if you really look at it. But then you had those prolific moments that came in that you desperately needed to shift things around in Drew McIntyre coming and giving the Claymore to Jelly Roll, or
which was awesome.
RKOs coming out of nowhere from Randy. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm saying, like, I agree with you that we're going to see some sort of shift towards Cody probably losing that belt from somebody, or like somebody coming in and taking that belt off of him for a short period of time. And if that is the case, then I'm really hoping it's someone like Drew McIntyre. I think he desperately, or again, not desperately, he deservingly needs a shot at holding that belt for a little bit.
That's why I like the whole LA Knight section now, because he was getting, I thought he had done a ton of work and wasn't getting any recognition. So it's kind of cool to see him now up in the heavyweight type category. Whether he gets it, I think he ends up getting it somehow, some way, but it'll be a long road.
I'm really hoping here in the next, because again, with LA Knight situation and with the whole Karrion Kross situation, which their contracts come up at the end of the weekend too, there's a lot of question marks on whether LA Knight is also on the chopping block. I really would hope not, but I'm really hoping that you're right and we start seeing him more in the main event situation. But I hope we're not seeing that just to give him that right before his final send-off. You know what I mean?
I hope not.
Like how the WWE usually does, as we just saw with Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn. They'll give you a match at a PLE, right before you get fired. That's the worst part about it. But we got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. We got some other stuff to talk about on the other side, including a huge signing from the San Antonio Spurs and what that means for their organization. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
Oh man, look at that. You know, how NFL Network, they put up their top 100 every year.
Oh, yeah.
And they're about halfway through.
Oh, Lord.
And last year, Tyreek was one, and the world blew up. Oh my God, you can't have a receiver at one. Blah 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 blah. Blah.
Is he won that year?
Yeah, it caused a bunch of stirrish. Oh yeah, you got a lot of wrestling to watch, but he is 47 now, and he's already going off. So that's
Again,
what I was laughing at.
those I'm always interested to see, but it's usually
Means
based off
nothing.
of it. Well, it's based off of other players' votes, I believe.
Yep.
And while it is nice to hear who the other players believe is the number one player in the league, like you just said, Tyreek went from first to 47th.
Yeah.
So like, man, like,
I
and
mean,
they're
guys that rarely even played last season due to injuries are in the top 100. So
right.
you can tell
Exactly.
it's not
So
a big deal. It's just players voting.
it's the equivalent of E! Magazine's Sexiest Person of the Year award.
That's
Like,
important.
yeah. Okay. Let's switch over to some basketball news real quick here because the Spurs have made a huge financial decision signing De'Aaron Fox to a 4-year, $229 million max extension, keeping the point guard there through the 2029-2030 season, even after drafting Dylan Harper, number 2 overall in the NBA draft. But this would also put a massive stamp on this Spurs team, saying that they are 100% behind Victor Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox. And that's not a bad combination whatsoever. De'Aaron Fox being one of the fastest point guards in the NBA, averages just under 20 points a game. Do you think we could be seeing essentially this second coming of that Tony Parker, Tim Duncan era of basketball in San Antonio? It's really kind of shaping up to be that kind of a talent down there in Texas.
That's what they're trying. I mean, that was a hell of a team that I just don't know because I haven't seen enough of the younger guys to throw that type of names around with them. Because I mean, that Spurs team went on a long stretch, but I mean, they have the young talent to do it.
I mean, he is one of 2 people to average 20 points, 5 assists, and a steal in a game in a whole season. I apologize. And the other person's Luka. So that's pretty good company. And honestly, when a team like San Antonio is building such a solid core of young players, it's hard to ignore. I think that we're looking at San Antonio potentially breaking into this playoff bracket here at, I would say, at least that 6th spot, if not 5. I know there's a lot of really talented teams in the West. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're better than teams like Houston just yet. But if Victor comes out and shocks the world this year, maybe plays to an MVP level, we could be talking about the Spurs even atop of the West. We really could, especially with the amount of talent they've been able to pull in. And although Popovich is gone, I would love to see Greg Popovich coach this team. I think that you left the team in good hands. And as long as we kind of follow the same kind of mentality that you had back in those days of the 90s with David Robinson and then moving forward with Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and whatnot in the 2000s, you could have a dominant team once again in San Antonio. And that's a bad news bears for the rest of the West. It really is.
Yeah, with Wemby and Castle, plus they got Harper in the draft. And it's going to be a hell of a team.
And that's going to lure a lot of people to want to come play with you too. So imagine we've seen some super teams before. We talked about Giannis playing in San Antonio. I know, granted, we were talking about them trading for Giannis, which is still on the, let's not be crazy. This is still on the table.
That?
It's still on the table, I feel. But I think that Evan Cohen, our guy on Unsportsmanlike, is 100% right. I don't think that Milwaukee's moving on from Giannis at all. I think if they have anything to say about it, they're going to keep Giannis around for the foreseeable future. It's just more if he wants to play there. But now when you can look at the West side, this is I know it's just a match or another contract signing for some people, but that putting some money into De'Aaron Fox, showing him that you have all the confidence in the world in him. And arguably, what would you say he is? Top 10 point guard in the league right now?
Oh, yeah.
I would say they're headed to a pretty dang good spot in San Antonio. Again, Right now, I would put them softly around the 4 area in the West, still underneath teams like the Thunder and like, obviously the Rockets, as I mentioned earlier, but easily a contender to
Golden
beat up on
State.
some teams next year. I would put Golden State towards the bottom until we can see some sort of de-aging going forward. And if they can re-sign Jonathan Kuminga, which I hear is still on the table, I guess. I am shocked, to be honest with you, with the poor relationship between Kuminga and Kerr last year. Maybe they could mend these bridges. From what I understand, the biggest issue is that they don't want to give him certain clauses in the contract that they gave him last time, including, I believe, like a soft no trade clause and some, I believe the last year is supposed to be a player option on this 2-year deal. So theoretically, I'm sorry, a team option. So theoretically, it's really a 1-year deal. If they don't want him in the second year, they could just let him go. I kind of understand why Kuminga doesn't want to sign that, but I'm also kind of shaking my head on why you're still entertaining it. The relationship between you and the Golden State Warriors seem to have soured. So if it's not that bad, then I would assume you can come to an equal agreement.
Yeah, that's what the news came out yesterday. Said Golden State is no longer pursuing a sign and trade deal this summer, and that they were going to move forward and let him play out his final year of the contract, which only makes 7.9 million. But I mean, there was a couple offers that both of them didn't agree on, whether it was with the Kings or Phoenix earlier in the when free agency opened. But
Yep.
it looks like he's staying.
And he's a bona fide starter. So I hope that they could figure this out in Golden State, because seeing him play anywhere else would be a sour point if you're a Golden State fan. Don't get me wrong. And he plays very well with guys like Jimmy Butler and guys like Steph. I just don't know exactly how great the relationship is between him and the head coach. And when you don't have a great relationship with your head coach, you're not going to get a lot of playing time. That's just kind of how it works. That's business in the basketball world. So I'm not sure exactly how they're going to be able to fix that. But going forward, we kind of hope they do. And we'll see what happens with Kuminga's season next year if they don't get this extension figured out. But let's take a break real quick, pay some bills. On the other side, we got some Damian Lillard news, as he might be headed back to Weber State as a basketball GM. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. Early bird special. Final half hour of the day. Have we figured out who won the tickets yet?
Got one more segment.
Got one more segment?
If you want to text in your favorite Hard Knocks over the years, text it into 661-842-2000, and you could win a pair of tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest before you can even buy them. Coming up Saturday, October 11th.
I don't text in. I'll just take them.
Yeah.
Right. I'll go eat unlimited brunch bites and drinks and whatnot by myself.
It is the best fest to go to.
It is. You guys
Perfect weather.
miss out on it. That's up to you. I'm not. I'm gonna be full. I'm gonna have some drinks. I'm gonna have a good dang time.
I'll be pouring. So
It is hopefully one of these years we could actually.
you could be my insider and bringing me little snacks throughout the day.
There you go. Real quick before we shift off and back into some football news, some interesting basketball news that I wanted to mention over the week we didn't get to yesterday. Damian Lillard, the point guard from Portland. I love being able to say that again.
Right?
Has decided that he will be going back to Weber State to stand as their basketball general manager. This is a position that's really grown in popularity in the last couple of years, especially with the growth of NIL and a lot of other stuff on the college side of things. So having liaisons and stuff like that who handle programs and transfers and stuff like that for these programs, it's a much needed thing, especially in today's world when you're handling these types of situations with NIL without proper contracts, or at least contracts of keeping players in certain teams, I should say. So I think having a guy like Damian Lillard in there, somebody who is a professional and has obviously fielded a lot of these calls with his agent, kind of seen the behind the scenes and how these things work, being a professional basketball player, is a great person to really to hire to come in to be that general manager for you. And I've said this a couple of times because we saw it with Steph Curry going back to being that, to going back to Davidson to be that for them as well. I think we're going to see an influx of a lot of these players not moving into being coaches, but moving into general manager roles and ownership roles.
Management positions.
Honestly, with the amount of money that they have made throughout their careers and continue to make a little bit post-career, I mean, shoot, there's some guys that are having whole basketball courts with their face put on them, James
Did you
Harden.
see that?
I'm looking at the picture right now. Thank you for letting me know about this. For
That's
those of you who have no idea who we're talking about, apparently there is a basketball court in Japan, you said?
Yes.
That is... well, it's in honor of James Harden, and they did a whole is this painted? I can't really tell. I'm not sure. I'd have to look into this if it's printed or painted, but it looks fantastic. It's a whole artwork of James Harden on the basketball court.
It's in China, and it's
in China.
A surprise gift from Adidas Hoops.
That's just so cool. I love looking at that, but he's also carrying. He's got the ball a little too high. Just saying.
Yeah,
but
like usual.
But this being the case, the amount of money and just popularity that these guys make both on and off the court allows them to have that leeway to move into these roles of general manager and ownership rather than coaching. And I think that that's a good thing, especially for basketball. I think basketball, it really should be that way, that if you really have watched or are a fan of basketball, you know that it's one of those culture-like situations where if you aren't in it fully, you really don't understand it fully. And that's not a bad thing. They embrace you either way, but it's more of, if you want to be a part of it, you have to fully be a part of it. You have to know ball and you have to love it. It's so when you see situations like this of professional athletes and former athletes, especially guys like Damian Lillard, who have long standing with Weber State, being, I think, their only All-American chosen and just one of the best players to ever come out of there, if not the best player to ever come out of there. It's a good sign for them. And it's a good sign for, well, my thoughts going forward, that these guys are probably going to be moving into those roles more often than not going into the future. So
yeah, we've heard a lot of recent talks about, LeBron wanting to get some ownership with the whichever team goes into Vegas. I mean, he's pushing a lot, and I like that much more than, the coaching side. But if you're busy, playing a full regular season and training, and that's kind of a cool thing,
some of
especially
these
going
guys,
back to a team like that.
Some of these guys are natural born coaches too. So, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're going to stop doing that, but I feel like there is going to be a good amount of these guys that they're better suited to be general managers, and they're better suited to be people who just build teams up that way rather than coaching them. You know what I mean? LeBron, in my opinion, would be a better general manager than you would be a coach. That's just me. But then again, he's kind of been a general manager his whole time playing in the league anyway, and it hasn't really worked out that much now, has it?
And he comes out congratulating Luka.
Yes, he does. And that's a good sign as well if you're a Laker fan, because I think he knew it as well that this was going to be the passing of the torch season for him, that this is probably one of his last years, and if not the last year, and you have to make sure the team you are leaving is in good standing. Couldn't get much better than Luka. I'm going to tell you that right now. So at this point with the Lakers, I think it's going to be a ticking time clock of how long LeBron is going to be there. I think he stands for the rest of the season. But like you said yesterday, Sparky, what happens after this year when the contract is up is really what everybody's wondering. Does he stay in LA? Does he go back to Cleveland? Does he go to Miami?
Or does he just walk away?
Or does he walk away? The other one that I'm going to throw out there, because no one's talking about it yet, but we will if this kid decides to go. If Bryce James, his younger son that's playing in Arizona next year, decides to be a one and done and gets drafted, does he go play with him as well? That's always going to be an option. That's unfortunate, but it's true. I just hope that Bryce makes the decision for himself, and if he needs a year or two in development in college ball, stay in college ball. Because right now, I'm kind of wishing your brother did. Because I feel like if Bronny stayed at USC for a year or two, he'd be a much better basketball player right now. But that's just me.
What I saw out of him in the D League, I mean, he could have probably took another year in college and probably been a better pick. And who would have known if it would have been the Lakers? But
and especially with the whole heart problem, right? And it just, everybody was wondering if he was ever going to be able to play basketball again after that. It was always going to be in the back of his mind whether he could either play to that level or not and push his heart. I wish we would have gotten 1 to 2 more years of basketball from him at USC or in college in general, whether he decided to transfer to Ohio State or wherever he wanted to go. Because I know he wasn't going to be happy since the basketball coach at USC had left anyway. But I still feel like it would have benefited him a little bit more. Because, I mean, a whole year in the D League, G League, I mean, it didn't exactly help you in the summer league. So I'm kind of worried about that. But we'll see what this season holds for Bronny James and the Lakers going forward, as Luka seems to be the next step forward for you into the foreseeable future. And as we said yesterday, might be an entire European surge headed towards the LA Lakers here the next couple of years.
I'm starting to think the same thing, man.
I'd hate to see it, to be honest with you, just because the dominance that would come out of LA.
Joker and Luka in LA.
I'm not a Laker hater. I'm not going to sit here and say I am, but I hate when I see dynasties that are just that good where I'm like, God, it's almost untouchable.
I would have to go see a game.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I'm not a Lakers fan either,
that's
but
the whole point. That's
if
right.
I could afford them.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, tickets are already ridiculously high. How high are they going to get even more if you have to go get Joker at the same time? But you know what's funny? Laker fans and ourselves, not even being Laker fans, being sports fans, will gladly go pay for that.
Yeah, they'll enjoy it too.
Gladly go pay for that.
Well, we'll take our final break of the day, and maybe we'll get into it's not a sports show if we don't bring in Terry McLaurin or the Micah trade talk. And luckily for Trey Hendrickson, these guys are taking the headlines this week.
Yeah.
And we're not talking Trey Hendrickson. We'll talk about that much more. We'll pick our winner for the Brunch Fest tickets right after this break. We are the Early Bird Special.
Welcome back. Final segment of the day right here on the Early Bird Special. We'll join us back here tomorrow, 7 to 9. Later this week, we'll be talking hopefully with our guy Daniel Betts. Plus, we're going to start with our Fantasy Fridays. We'll give you a breakdown of some fantasy football stuff coming up. Your draft coming right around the corner. We're going to give you our top 10s and ins and outs of sleeper picks and whatnot for each position weekly. We're not going to be able to do it every day. Calm down.
Tomorrow we will have local 559 fighter Aaron Flores joining us.
We will have 559 in here. Do we know when their next fight is?
I believe it is the 24th.
Is it? Well, we'll get all that from Mr. Flores tomorrow. Plus
23rd.
23rd. Fantastic. Hopefully I can make that one too. And honestly, if you haven't been out to a 559 fight, you really do need to go check it out. It is professional grade, fantastically run, and it just top-notch fights. They're really great. These guys put all they have into these fights, and these guys are professionals. They take it very, very seriously. This isn't going to be your uncle taking on the cousin from around the corner.
It's not the backyard fighting like we used to.
Exactly. It's not backyard brawls. It's some real fighting. These guys take it very seriously. They go get training.
Full main cards too. I mean,
Absolutely.
they get 10 to 12 fights at any event. And we've got 2 fighters scheduled to be on the show starting tomorrow and then the following week. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping to get out there before football starts.
Yes. Dude, once football starts, it's going to be rough, to be honest with you.
I was going to ask you during football, how do you watch Raw and football? I mean, obviously, I know you have multiple screens.
Yeah, multiple screens.
But I mean, it's going to be tough for
me. I usually have
me.
Monday Night Football up on the TV and then
be tough
Raw on my phone. To be honest with you, I try to watch as much as I can of both. Commercials help a lot. They really do.
Football will always trump anything I'm watching.
No,
so
100%. It's football.
It's going to be tough.
And Sundays, I mean, I've had to tell girlfriends Sundays are for football. I'm sorry. Like I've literally had to have that conversation with past girlfriends before. It's like, I'm sorry. Sundays are for football. I'll give you Saturdays, and that's giving up a lot because you give up college football Saturdays. That's almost blasphemous.
Well, that's why I got my girl into fantasy early in the relationship. And now she's like, all right.
Yeah, because she has to watch her players
play
watch
it too.
So it actually makes sense.
And she got her 2-time champ.
This is for those of you who are in early relationships. This is good relationship advice coming from Sparky right here.
You.
Especially if you're a sports fan, get him into it too. Trust me, it's a lot of fun.
Helped her the first year, and then she took a couple years, or she had to learn. And then last year, she made me proud. She won her 2nd title. So,
aw, look at that. You're
taking money out of your own old man.
Proud professor over there. We'll help you win yours as well starting on Friday. We're going to hit quarterbacks first and go down the line, lining you up perfectly with Labor Day weekend and hopefully your draft weekend, because that's where we have ours. I don't know exactly where you guys have yours. I like to wait to the very last second just in case there's a handful of injuries that no one knows about.
Or at least players or
exactly. You never
How many
know.
leagues you in this year?
3, 4, 3, 4. 4. I'm in 4 because I'm in 2 with you, 1 with my buddy, and then
now 3.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're in the other one with me. So yeah, you're in 3 with me now, and then 1 with my other friend as well. So, but I mean,
I cut down. I'm in 5.
Oh yeah, that's cutting down for you, isn't it? I forget.
Cut down from 7 to 5.
I cannot believe you at one point had 7. How many do you guys run out there at this point? 661-842-2000. What do you think is a too much number for fantasy football teams? Personally, I think I have too much right now of 4. I think that's way too much. I'm seriously considering cutting one of these out. I really, really am. I'm not gonna lie to you. The one you jumped in with me, I was heavily considering jumping out of last year, but I won the whole dang thing. So
you can't do that.
I can't leave.
Yeah.
I can't win and
you
leave.
Can't do
That's
the
just
Cena,
wrong.
Take the title and leave.
I mean, I can. The last real champion is here, but I just choose not to do that, especially if I come back and I win a 2nd year in a row.
Won't happen.
I mean, you never know. You're coming into my league, Sparky. This isn't something that's
what I do. That's what I do.
We'll see how well he fares, and we'll keep you guys updated on all of these leagues as well.
And I'm hoping to get cut down from 7 to 5, but I think I'm going to get into this like underdog type thing this year.
I would like to get into that a little bit more as well. Not to encourage gambling for those of you who have kids in the car. Don't go and gamble now.
I brought it up because we had a texter earlier in the show asking if we're going to bring back what we used to do with the fantasy breakdown, which was like a weekend kind of online fantasy deal like we did with DraftKings or one of those apps. I mean, we're going into football season and
Yes.
people are still trying to fight the fantasy betting in California, but it looks like they're a bit too late.
I'm gonna
So
ride the wave as long as it's here, baby.
exactly.
I don't care if they're fighting it. I'm riding the wave. And honestly, that was our plan. Yes, we were gonna figure something out where we can do something with all of you. Maybe just do like a weekly pick'ems kind of a thing where you guys can go in and pick who you believe are going to be the best players of the weekend, and top dog gets, I don't know, we'll give you a t-shirt or something of that nature. I don't think we can actually have doll hairs involved.
We'll figure something out. But we have a congratulations to Felix, who won a pair of tickets to Bakersfield Brunch Fest.
Fantastic. He was the one that chose, I believe the Browns was his
Who would
favorite
have
Hard
known?
Knocks. I'm sorry. I know we had a couple votes in there for the Cowboys.
Picking the Browns would have won you Brunch Fest tickets. Who would have known?
Right. And honestly, at this point, it just, if you are a Browns fan, I just gave those to you because I do not envy you in the pain that you've had to go through. I apologize. But we also had some votes in there for Cowboy fans. And sorry, we cannot, we can't
Blame Jerry.
just, no, blame Jerry. I can't benefit or give any benefit to you for being a Cowboys fan. I apologize. It's just not in me as a Falcons fan. I can't give you any favoritism.
Well, speaking of Dallas, do you think this Micah thing is I mean the way the Micah is talking, I mean, he's taking it pretty personal.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like the statement that they released, it seemed very personal. And I genuinely believe there's some validity to Parsons not wanting to play there anymore. I really do. Now, can a dollar bill sign actually change that? Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely. But at this point, from where it stands right now, there's no contract talks at all. I don't blame him for being insulted by this. You knew what he wanted coming into the season. He was very vocal about that leaving last year. The little contact that his agent has had with you, they have been told that you had it all pretty much taken care of.
Yeah, and what is the deal with I heard Eisen when I was stuck on California Avenue. I'll just repeat: do not drive on California Avenue.
Please don't.
As the lanes are cut down to one, and you'll be there.
It's probably too late.
If
to
you're
be
in a
honest with
rush,
you,
you're
but
already stuck. And
good luck getting to work.
but I heard Eisen talking yesterday about Jerry saying that there was a handshake with him and Jay-Z in the off season, because I believe Micah is with Rock Nation, and something to do with now Jerry's taking shots at Jay-Z, and it's just he's digging these holes deeper and deeper. But I heard Schefter this morning talking about, whether the trade is going to happen or not, what would it take to actually get a trade to get Micah?
I think if you look at that Khalil Mack package that was once given up for a pass rusher at a similar age with a similar background and similar accomplishments, I think that's what you're kind of looking at right now. Back then, Khalil Mack was traded from Oakland to Chicago. The Bears gave up 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, a sixth-round pick. So 4 picks for Mack, a second, and a fifth. I think that for Micah Parsons, you're talking double ones minimum.
I have to agree with him. And honestly, that's why I know I said the Raiders yesterday too. And I stood by that until I had gotten some interesting developments that were thrown at me by Raider fans. But apparently Micah has the same agent as Wilkins. So Raider fans,
no.
I'm sorry, you might be out of the running now. And although I agree with Shefty 110%, the package should be very close to the Khalil Mack situation. Even more so, it could be the Chicago Bears who make that deal. I mean, they've done it in the past. They have been making splash after splash this offseason. And if they could pull off a guy like Parsons to round it all up, my God, could this be one of the greatest turnarounds we've seen from an organization in a while? And Chicago desperately needs that guy outside of Montez Sweat on the other end. So it would make a lot of sense to me although you will cripple yourself for the foreseeable future in terms of draft capital, is it worth it? Kind of is.
I think it was.
It kind of is.
It would be.
It's Micah Parsons. And to be honest with you, that's why I'm sitting. If it at all, I think most teams would sit there and say it's worth it. So if I'm Chicago, I'm heavily considering making this happen.
Yeah, make the call. Make
Putting
the call.
a couple draft pick first rounders together, just like you did with Khalil. Throw it to Jerry and say, let's go. You're not going to sign him. You're not going to give him the money he wants. We can give him somewhat close to the dollar bill he would want, and we can figure out the rest later. But I would not be surprised if this ends up happening and Chicago makes a second major trade for a pass rusher in the last decade and a half. Because the only team that I thought besides the Raiders that would make a deal for like this would be Chicago, especially trying to make just a major splash and catch up with teams like Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay, just to name a few. So we will see what we will see. I am very, very curious the validity of all of this, though. There's some curiosity in my mind, but Jerry has pulled off some crazier stunts before, so maybe he does put down a suitable amount of money. And Parsons says, all right, let's get the deal done.
Okay, fine, Jerry.
I'll come and play come play ball, Jerry. I hope not. I hope he's out of there. He is. I've always thought that he could be a better player if he didn't play for the Dallas Cowboys, but that's just me. This has been the Early Bird Special, though. We got to take a break for the day. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 to 9, with our guys from the 559 Fights. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.